Oh, we're live. Hey guys. Hey Jamlee, how are you? Sorry, I'm trying to move everything. Okay. Getting stuff did. Oh, that squirted up at me. Need a little bit of sugar to boost me back up again. Oh, ow. Anyways, hopefully everybody's doing good today. Gosh, look at this mop. Sarah was actually loving my curls this morning, but as you can see, what is that? What is going on there? But anyway, I'm doing good actually. So just gonna be getting a few more things finished in here. I gotta move. I was like, what is wrong with me today? I gotta move my desk setup. Gotta move this over to the center because this corner that I'm sitting right now is gonna be kind of our little like stack 'em spot for now. As we go through all of our items. Like we have stuff that needs to be hung up, so I need to get some rods put in right here to hang the clothing and stuff on. So everything is like right here next to me, just in a big stack. And then I've got my bedroom put together. Right here is the, like you can see part of it right here. This is the twin mattress that I've been sleeping on. I went ahead and got my bed yesterday. So my bed is now put up. So the bed is in. Now we need to get a frame for Sarah's bed because she doesn't have a frame anymore. So we need to get her a bed frame to go for her bed. So we got to look into that. And then we need to get some, like, actually we have the dressers, but we want to get something that we can set like at our side table ends, like our end table things for the side of the bed. Because you know, like everybody has their like little trinkets or whatever things that you like to put like right next to your bed that you use or that you want easy access to. Like for me, I put my journals. So it would be nice to have something there for the journals. I may end up just deciding to use like my top drawer of my dresser on the one side to just put my journals in, seeing as I don't really have many clothing, like much clothing. But yeah, so we've got our rooms figured out. The plumber's going to be here at 2:30, getting the new toilet put in and the new plumbing done to get the water, the cold water up running. So yeah, we got those things going on today. But yeah, it's, other than that, you know, I should say our first encounter this morning with the first gentleman who arrived was not the best, but the company is a good company and they stand by their word and are sending out a different person because the first guy was just wasn't very nice. So, like I said, I won't give out any names of the company because I guess I'm not bashing the company. They're a really good company. Just the man that came out was just a jerk. He gave me an option because he was supposed to do 2 jobs when he got here today. 1, get the valve fixed so that we can get water up here. 2, get the new toilet put in. But he said pick either or. Well, we can't have the new valve fixed and not replace the toilet because you get the valve fixed and you get water running, it's going to go everywhere because the toilet's broken. If you don't get the valve fixed and you replace the toilet, you can't check your work on how you replace the toilet because you don't have water running to it. So you can't say pick one or the other. You got to have running water to test a toilet install. So yeah, it was like you can't do that. Like we have our hot water running, but of course we don't have the hot water tank on because the water out here is just hot anyway because it's summer. So we don't have to worry about that just at this moment. But as the months cool off, you're gonna want to have your hot water tank running and your cold water running. But yeah, so this guy was just very, very rude. So that was a fun experience. But anyway, the company stands by and they said they will have somebody here at 2:30. That's going to be their best worker, and he's going to come out and he's going to do both jobs, which was scheduled, and get both jobs completed. because you can't do one without the other, and vice versa on either side of that fence. But anyway, how are you guys doing today? I want to know how you guys are. Now where did it go? Ow. Oh, hi, Tiffany. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're doing good. Ow. Yeah, after I learned some things the other day, I'm not going to go into detail, but I learned some things the other day. And Leslie! And it really brought back like some like really repressed kind of things, like not repressed, but things that you kind of just bury down, things you just don't ever really think about or talk about or want to discuss, or like you just think it's probably better if you just stay quiet and just don't really bring it up. But some things happened within the amazing community that I'm a part of on Twitch. And so I'm not going to go into detail, but some stuff happened and it had got me, like, it just hashed up all this stuff. Needless to say, I finally, after months and months and months and months, finally had for the first time in a long time a really, really good cry. If you're anybody, you know that's a really good cry is super cathartic. Like, it is such a release. And I had all this pent up emotion and things that I've just kind of I've been so busy with everything else around me that I've just not had the time to just sit down and like pour it out. Yesterday I did that and it got me really thinking. And I'm going to be 41 this year. And I thought to myself, nobody, like only a very few handful of people really know about my childhood. And the few people that do have been the most amazing people in my life. And I sit back and I've always said to myself, I don't ever talk about it because there's a specific person, I'm not going to go into detail, but there's a specific person in that believes that they've done no real harm or real wrong. Yeah, having a good cry it's super cathartic. Like, it was I actually slept for the first time in months. I slept pretty darn good. It's already like, I don't know, it's like watered down. But hi Jeffrey. But after like going through it and stuff, and I was talking to another friend of mine, and he stated, sometimes those people that hurt you will always live in their own bubble. They're always going to live in their own bubble, and they're always going to be in denial of just how bad it was. And it doesn't matter what their view on it is. Your story is yours to tell, and theirs is theirs to tell. So there's always going to be two sides, and there's going to be one and there's going to be the other. Your story is your truth, and theirs is their truth. And even if their truth or even pieces of yours don't quite match up, the point is your truth is your truth. It's what you've lived. It's what you've dealt with. It's how you've processed it. Right. And they know, they know what they did, but they're in full denial of just how bad the experience for you was. So I sat back and I posted on my Facebook, and I wanted it to be known to my family and friends that I think I'm at that point where I'm really ready to share my childhood. It is not for the faint of heart. It's devastating. And I don't want to share it here right now because this isn't the space just yet to do so. There's so much more going on right now And I don't want to use that space and that time right now on myself. I want to focus it right now with the Black Lives Matter movement. I want that to be like the main focus. I want people to be doing their research. If you're following me on Instagram, please follow me on Instagram, because I don't know if I'll be posting all the links here, because I'm doing this on mobile. So if you guys go to my Instagram, there is a link and all that in my bio on there. There is links throughout my feed on there that direct you to different places that you can help, which is super important. So if you guys are interested in learning some information, educating yourselves on the whole Black Lives Matter, and if you are interested in educating yourself on systemic racism, systematic racism, whether you guys are trying to find ways to help you deal with people that in your life who may appear racist, or you yourself who thinks you're not racist or says I'm not a racist, but then doesn't stand up to people who say things or make nasty comments or whatnot, you just let it go. That is allowing, it's allowing that to continue. So in a way, you are inadvertently playing a part in racism. So speak up, Well, thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you. And I do genuinely thank you for that. But I also want to let people know, when you go through things, like I get this all the time, and it just blows my mind, because people will be like, I don't know how you do it, or I don't think I could handle that. And believe it or not, you totally could. And the reason I say that is because in that moment, you do what you need to. Your natural instincts are for survival. And you're going to do what it takes to survive it, to survive whatever the situation might be. You're going to go through the motions and the steps that are going to get you from point A to point B. Because you have to. Like, you just have to. Like, you can't just fold and just sit there and just break apart and do nothing. There are people that do break. And those are the people that you will see in hospitals, or people who inadvertently, without real thought, because they just don't think it through, they end their own life thinking that there's no way to escape. And it's super, super sad. And you're right, it is survival of the fittest. But it's also about just knowing who you are. Like, I've always, even as a little girl, I've always been very just on my own, not because of any encouragement or any of that. I've just been naturally very self-aware. I've always also been very sure of me, like what I'm going to do, where I'm going to go, how I'm going to behave, how I'm going to react. And it would be super funny for people to really understand that I have a massive fear of people. You wouldn't think so. But it's not just people. I have a very large fear of environments and places. And there are a lot of triggers that set me off. And so there's a name for it. And I was diagnosed with it years ago. I still seek therapy to this day. And it's called agoraphobia. It's like a fear of it's the fear of having a panic attack when you're out and about. And many things can trigger it. So the feeling of you're being stuck, that you can't escape the situation, or if you become overwhelmed, not being able to find a safe space, a fear of the people within that space, a fear of embarrassing yourself, or saying something that nobody else understands, and then of course it becoming an embarrassment. So reactions of people, stuff like that. So when I'm out, like just even grocery shopping, I thought I was pretty good at kind of suppressing it and pushing it down and keeping myself distracted, like with talking to my kids or with a friend that's with me. And I got very well informed yesterday that I suck at it. I didn't know that. I thought, oh, I'm doing a great job. I look like I'm a normal person out here getting my groceries and I'm okay. And I know internally all I'm thinking in my head is, just get me out of here. Please just get me out of here. I just need to get this because I need to get out of here. I try, when I go to the store, I have a list and I stick strictly to that list. I go from spot to spot to spot, get in the line, get out. Because I can't linger, and I can't. And my friend and my daughter informed me yesterday that, no, you suck at it. It's very clear in your body language, in your facial expressions, in the way you walk through the store, that you are terrified to be there. But you've always got one of us there to keep talking to you. And that's why, we're there to talk to you, because it's a distraction, which it is, which is a really good plus. And continuing to expose myself, which is one of my therapies, which is continuing to put myself in positions for longer periods of time to try to break that habit of expecting a panic attack, expecting something bad to happen, expecting that, that somebody there is going to be a danger to me. And I know that sounds crazy, because when you see me on here and I'm talking openly and I'm relaxed, it's because I'm in my safe space. And I'm not in fear of you popping out of my phone. I can have conversations with people. We can sit and have lunch as long as it's not crowded, as long as the place has a very close exit that I can get to if need be. I went, as you guys know, if you've been watching for a while, we went for the Brian Lanning music video when he did the Who Knew music video. There was a point during that time, there wasn't very many people there. I think it was like a total of like 16 kids, teenagers, and then I think there was probably there was like 5-6 adults there, and then of course Brian and Missy and their crew. But the crew and them were kind of a whole different area. But the area where they ended up putting those of us that were there, the parents with the teens, they, I guess you'd say, they crowded us into a small room. And no, it's not. It's on the medium setting. If I can't turn it up any higher, because if I do, it's going to start wobbling, because it has a bad bearing on the top. But grocery store, and ended up leaving quickly because she had a panic attack and had to get out of there. Yeah, and nobody understands like what it feels like until they've had one themselves. There's no way you can verbally explain to someone what it feels like, other than you are absolutely in the moment, certain you're dying. You're not dying, but you're absolutely certain you are. You can't breathe. You can feel your heart pounding through your body. All you hear is it in your ears. Everything sounds extremely muffled. Your vision tunnels and your body sweats and shakes all over. You literally think you are dying. It is the worst sensation and feeling in the entire world. I've only ever in my life, and this is going to sound crazy, I've only ever had 2 panic attacks in my entire life. And those were enough. Those were enough to permanently screw up my head about being out. Yeah, you literally think you're dying. My cousin does suffer from them, and they just pop up on him randomly. He's had one while he was just literally at home relaxing on the couch, nothing to trigger it, and he had a full-blown panic attack. So clearly there's something that also can line in with it genetically. So there's a correlation, I'm told, after doing a little extra research. I actually had Sarah looked at for that because I thought for sure, but she's never really experienced, like she's never explained the experience, like she's never ever felt like, oh my God, I'm dying. She says she's never had that. Every time she's ever had like a seizure or a pseudo, it's always just been like this weird hazy kind of hue to the room. Everything kind of goes quiet, and then she says she kind of just, apparently she checks out. And then she says that when she's finally back around, she doesn't understand why everybody's so worried about it, because to her, only like just moments have passed. But for everybody outwardly that's there, there's quite a chunk of time. So hers are definitely not panic attacks. But that can be an attributing factor. That could be part of something that could set her off. But as of right now, so far, thank goodness, knock on wood, she has not had one. I don't ever wish those on anybody, not even my worst enemy. But yeah, so you would think that having that, I wouldn't be as relaxed and open here, but I am. And that's because, and like my therapist has told me, having a safe space where you can openly talk without fear of, there's going to be, people are going to always say stuff on YouTube and on social media because a lot of them are very childish or have to vent at someone themselves and feel that they're safe to do so behind a keyboard. So I know that when I do finally speak on here about everything, I already know, because I have blocked this person, but I already know they're going to be angry. They're going to rebut it. They're going to say it's all a bunch of lies. They're going to say that those things never happened. Yeah, I know, but I still have little tiny ears, though. I know. This one I think is the smaller one. This one's my bigger one. But yeah, just like this is my smaller eye. And you're just now noticing that, Larry? You've known me for how many years? Oh. You've known me for forever. So, and this guy right here. I'm pretty sure you do, Larry. Like I said, at this time with everything that's going on, I don't want to really discuss my story just yet on here. I want right now this time to be about continuing pushing the BLM movement and talking about that. I know, my ears, but they're so tiny. Like, Sarah always picks on me about my ears because they are so tiny. Like, they're even smaller lengthwise than my index finger. And I have little fingers, little hands. So right now my focus with all my other social media has been pushing education in the Black Lives Matter movement and stuff like that. So as of right now, I want to also make sure that when I do tell it and my story comes and I do decide to speak about it, I want it to be where I come on here and I talk it through, but I also want to do it not in a live stream. Because I sat back and I was trying to figure out what was the best way. And I think the best way for me to do it so that I can just say it is to sit back with the video camera set up and talk. Because I don't want to go into discussion during it. And when you're in a live stream, there's a back and forth. There's an expected communication between people. And I don't want to have that when I'm telling it. I want to be able to speak it, talk about it, say what I have to say, explain things from my perspective, and then chat it up on a live chat afterwards. So that's kind of what I want to be able to do. I know that when you do a live stream, you can turn off commenting and then turn it back on. And I could do it that way, but I don't think I'm ready to do it that way. I think that's almost like sitting you on the spot. With the camera, I can sit down and I can take breaks and I can pause if I need to. Oh, Jeffrey, you are absolutely, you don't even have to thank me. Like, you don't have to thank me. It's the right thing to do. As Jay is a black man as well. And I've experienced it in the car with him, not at me, but at him. Him being a black man, and being in the car with him and getting pulled over for absolutely no reason. Like literally no reason. Just a black man driving a gorgeous brand new red sports car. Not seeing me in the passenger seat because of course the windows were darkened. His window being down because he drives the same way I drive. I think I got my habit of the way I drive from him. I drive with every window up except for the driver's window. I always drive with my driver's window down. I know that sounds so weird. Even when I have the AC on, I will crack the driver's window. I don't know why. I blame it on him. I'm gonna blame it on Jay. So I've experienced like having, you know, a cop come up to the car, seeing him being very rude. That's the only word I can come up with. But then seeing me in the car, asking me if I'm okay. Like, yeah, I'm okay. I wouldn't be in the car with him if I wasn't okay. Sitting here in the front seat, drinking a soda pop. You know, no, he kidnapped me and gave me a soda. For real, goddamn. So, yeah, I've experienced the immediate accusations at someone of being black skinned. So many times. Yeah, it was, and that's the thing. That's the part I think that I didn't like. I never had a real sense of that when I was younger. I think because I was going through so much else that was going on in my life that I never really saw outside of that box that I was stuck in. But experiencing what he has gone through was like the first time we ever got pulled over for literally absolutely no reason. And I had my son in the back seat, and I was very pregnant with Sarah. That was the very first encounter, and I just thought to myself, why did they pull you over? Like, and I'm asking him this as we get pulled over. I'm like, what are they pulling you over for? You were going the speed limit. You weren't breaking any rules. You didn't like make any turns or illegal moves or whatever. He goes, it's because I'm black and I'm in a brand new car. And I was like, you're kidding, right? I thought he was kidding. And he goes, no, it's because I'm a black man and I'm driving a sports car, a brand new sports car. And that was the first like moment, like that's the first time I think I ever, yeah, that was the first time that got scared of his roundhouse. They got scared of, yeah, no doubt. Larry, you should be the one, I'm pretty sure you're the one scared of his roundhouse kick. Mm-hmm. Yep. And Jay's a good man. He's a really good man. And, yeah. Larry, Yep. I can imagine so. I mean, he gave you a good one. Next time, stand correctly. You wouldn't have gotten flung into a wall if you were standing correctly. You know, you got to brace yourself for those things. He does have that evil eye. No, you're right. He does. The kids have learned that one over the years with dad. You know, that's all it takes sometimes is that look. That look. Yep. Yeah, you're right. You probably weighed about 20 pounds soaking wet with bricks in your pocket. But then again, I probably weighed 2. I was so tiny in school. Oh my gosh. Like, people just don't understand how tiny I was. Well, I still am. I keep saying was. It's not like I ever actually finished growing or anything. Jesus. I'm so tiny. Like, I'm only, like, barely pushing 5'1". I think I've shrunk a little bit the past year or so. And I'm a walloping 116 pounds. Yeah, that's true. I would disappear behind normal-sized people. You're right. So, yeah, I was definitely easily hidden if need be. It kind of worked in my advantage though, because I was so tiny. I kind of remained under the radar. No pun intended on that one, but I really did remain kind of under the radar of all the really nasty bullies in school. And I also had a good group of you that really kind of took me under your wing and protected me. I was going to talk about Raquel the other day. If you remember Raquel, So I don't really want to bring her last name up because I don't know if she still has her last name like out there on social media. But awesome Raquel, loved her. Yeah, radars don't dip that low. She used to, if you remember her, Larry, Raquel and Casey, in school, they were kind of like a little duo. You bet. You bet. So, love you, Jeffrey. And they were kind of like a duo, always wearing their different colored combat boots, their kind of psychedelic leggings. They both had that same style kind of haircut. They were both very blonde, naturally, very blonde. Raquel is still very blonde. But Raquel and Craig were like two of the most amazing people. Raquel was like, she wouldn't let nobody pick on me. If anybody tried, she was like, you don't mess with her. Craig was the same way. He just was like, this little tiny thing ain't no. We're not having that. He was the same way with being protective over Crystal. So, because we were just like two little peas in a pod, other than she was very much more well endowed than I was. But I love Crystal and Abel. Oh my gosh, that little man. I love that little man. He is, what a little light in the world right there. So, you know. But yeah, in school, I kind of, like, school was my go-to safe place. Even when it wasn't always fun, it was always the place I knew that I could be, that I didn't have to worry, that I didn't have to look over my shoulder. I didn't have to panic when a door opened, because I knew that there I was not going to be bothered. So, yeah. School was definitely my escape, and I think that showed in my grades, in the classes I took, my GPA. My GPA was insanely, I loved my GPA. When I graduated with, you know, just, I was so, just very shy of making a 4.0. But I graduated with a 3.97 GPA, and yeah, I always took pride in my education, because I knew that doing that was going to allot me more freedoms when I left, and that I wasn't going to have to be like her. And yeah, that was my motivation. So I'm really irritated that I wish the toilet was supposed to be out of here already. And I can't explain to you guys. That smells so bad. But anyway, so for right now, I was telling you, I think I told you guys that how we were going to be doing this setup was going to be like a dorm. So we're doing a dorm setup. My room, Sarah's room, kitchenette. And then like right across from my room is going to be the office space. We were going to do like a sitting area, but we just decided, you know what? We'll just pick one of the TVs, turn it, and then we'll just, you know, because we're going to each have like a seat that we're going to use for like when we're actually gaming. So we can, because we like to game together. Like we do Fortnite together, we do Minecraft together. I don't really play Fortnite anymore. I was really like a fan of it at first, and now it's like all the stuff that they keep changing and adding and then whatnot, it's just, nah. I like consistency in games. I don't like when they like throw you curveballs like that. Or when they take something that you really like and then they just switch it up or take it away and you're just like, what the hell? But yeah, so we like to game together, and so we want to be able to just take our two chairs and move them and be able to watch a movie together on our Friday nights. But we want this corner right here that I'm actually sitting right here in, and we're going to put a couple of rods, because like I told you guys, these roofs, as you can see, the ceilings are the walls start off slanted, come up to the ceiling at a very steep angle. So we want to be able to put some rods right here that are going to, I'm going to probably mount them up on the wall here to hang down, and then we're going to hang close, and then I'm going to close this off, probably with some sliding curtains to make it a closet space. This way we can kind of tuck these things away that we can slowly go through. There's stuff in here that's Taylor's, stuff in here that's Sarah's and then mine. And of course, once Taylor gets situated with whatever's going on with him, his stuff will be out of here. And so it will get rid of a big chunk of what's taking up space. But I got to get this mattress out of here and the mattress cushion, like this big, awesome, like cushion thing that's like the best thing in the world, but it's not big enough for my bed. So I need to get a queen size one because that thing is like sleeping on a pillow, like on a cloud, and it is amazing. So I'd like to get one for my bed. But yeah, so this stack needs to be cleaned up. And yeah, so I gotta pick up Sarah from work at 1 o'clock, which is now, I still have an hour before I have to leave to go get her. But yeah, so go down, pick her up, get back up here because the plumber's gonna be here at 2:30. So that way we can get this job done because it needs to be done. Like, I am so tired of tracking all the way downstairs and going all the way over to the, well, I'm not going to disclose that on here, Larry. I'll message that to you. But yeah, I'm not going to message that on here just because that's like, you don't want to kind of give that kind of private information out on YouTube. So I'll message you. But oh yeah, she really loves her job, and her boss had me. I called because Sarah messaged me in a panic, right? And she's like, "Oh my God, Mom, I really think I just lost my job." And I was like, "Why?" And she goes, "Because I'm not 21." It's fine, no worries. Was just curious, yeah. And she goes, "I'm not 21," and I was like, "You don't need to be 21. Don't worry about it." And she's like, "Yeah, I have to be 21 to work here." And I was like, "Sarah, they wouldn't have hired you if you needed to be 21 to work there. They know you're 19. And so she's just like, "No, I'm really worried, Mom." And so I call up to the store because her boss is, he's kind of a funny guy. You know, like, he's a jokester. She kind of looks at him like an uncle or like a big brother, like just, you know, someone that she can really laugh with, and they're always bantering with each other, always giving each other a hard time. He was really happy to find out she was the one that got hired to work at his store. But anyway, I call and he's like, "Marie, hey Marie," and I was like, "Are you giving her a hard time because she's messaging me panicking?" And he goes, No, I got her calmed down. He's like, "I've got her calmed down now. I was just giving her a hard time." And I was like, "That's not even cool, man. You know that if you stress her out like that, you more than likely are going to trigger a seizure." He goes, yeah, I thought about that, and I ended up getting her calmed back down. He goes, "You messaged your mom." And I was like, "Oh my God." She's like, "You scared me, Jim." And he's like, "I'm really sorry." He's like, I really thought she realized I was kidding, because she's been working there for 3 weeks. So, not cool, man. So tomorrow she works, and then she finally has a few days off because today's her 7th day in a row. Tomorrow will be 8 days straight that she's worked. She is a hell of a trooper, let me tell you what. She has taken on her schedule and another person's schedule. Another person that they had hired assumed they were going to get full-time, which you don't get full-time with the company that Sarah's working for. You get pretty decent hours, but you don't get full-time. The only people getting full-time hours is the management, because they're not open long enough hours-wise. Like, the store's not open long enough during the day to give 8-hour shifts. So that's not going to happen. So they work, 2 separate shifts, and each person gets 4.5 hours, because the store's only open for like 8 hours of the day. Like, I think altogether the manager's there for 9 hours of the day because they have to open and close. So this girl, she used to work for me when I worked at KFC, when I was one of the managers. So she is a very, I guess you'd say, she has the attitude of entitlement. That would be the word. And when things didn't go her way, or the schedule wasn't exactly what she wanted, or she wasn't working the position she wanted, she would have a hissy fit. So she got the schedule, got pissed off, said, well, no, she was like, I thought I was supposed to be getting full time. He explained to her, you're not going to get full time. Everybody that works, all the employees get 4.5 hours each day. You may get lucky enough to get 6 days of the week, but most of you are going to only get 5. So you will take 2 days off during the week. But some days you may get, some weeks you may get 6 days, giving you a little bit more. But as of right now, with everything that's going on, hours of the store have been shortened and whatnot. So they can only run the store for so many hours with this whole COVID. So yeah, it's really, they're really strict. So she decided not to show up for work at her scheduled time. So they called Sarah, and she was like, yeah, I'll be there. So she worked her shift. Well, she worked that girl's shift and then her own shift. And then they called her again the next day and was like, you think you can come in and cover her shift as well? And it was supposed to be Sarah's day off. So she went in and covered that. Today was supposed to be her day off, but she's covering that girl's shift as well. So the girl is now officially no longer going to be put on the schedule. But because it was already scheduled for this week and they already had the schedule written out, they went ahead and gave Sarah the hours. And she was right on top of it. She's like, yeah, I'll be there. So I think that, like I told her, I said, I'm super proud of you. A lot of people just getting started with someone would feel like, you know, overwhelmed. But Sarah is just so driven. She wants to work. She wants to be there. She wants to be interacting. She's not like me in that sense. I don't like a lot of interaction, people-to-people interaction, as I explained earlier. I'm more of kind of this type of interaction. I'm more of a homebody. There's a lot that goes into that, and of course, like I said, I will at some point will be explaining that to everybody, and we'll be talking about it. Larry definitely knows quite a bit. Don't think he knows all of it, but I know that he knows a very big chunk of it. He was involved with my family. He's my best, like one of my best friends in school. So he gets it, like he knows, and he can confirm when I say it's not for the faint of heart. The story that I'm going to tell, and that's why it's called a story, because it is my version, my side of what I experienced, how I felt in the experience. It's from me. I'm not going to put out there what I think the other person felt, or what my siblings felt, or what friends felt. It's strictly my side, my words, from my perspective and my experience, and how it made me feel, and what it has done, and the damage it's caused into my adult life. Yeah, right, Larry? I know nothing. I saw nothing unless you're giving me money. Damn, caps lock. I know, quit yelling at me, Larry. Jeez. God, be nice. But yeah, it's like I said, the story is not for the faint of heart. And one of the biggest things that impacted me as an adult, not as a child, but it made me feel like an absolute child, was the passing of my sister. And to this day, I really, really hate the fact that I moved out when I did. And I hate the fact that I wasn't there to protect her. And I wasn't there to see that she was okay, or that she was being treated okay. And so her death was the biggest impact into my adult life. And that is one reason, I think one of the main reasons why I have the biggest issue with trust. And it has nothing to do with ever getting hurt by a partner or my ex sleeping around, what the hell ever. I have never had an issue with trust in that aspect. Because if you're going to do something in a relationship, then you just leave the freaking relationship. It doesn't make me not trust you. What it does is tell me you're not worth my time. And it doesn't make me not trust my next partner, because they have nothing to do with your dumb decisions. So I've never had an issue in trust when it comes to partnership. What I have is a trust issue when people say things, and they don't follow through. I know you were, Larry. Yeah, I know. That was... So I know that you and my sister were very connected at that time. I actually have pictures. I might actually send you some of those pictures, like some copies of them, from the dance, when you took her to the dance. And this was, I think that was just before she got sick. And she wore that, just that beautiful silky, was like a silvery silky dress with beautiful flowers on it, and that hair, her and her hair. Nobody will ever understand when I say, oh my God, her hair. She had so much hair. Like, do you know the amount of time it took me to do her hair for ROTC every time? Because her hair was so thick. Oh, thank you. So, no, you know what? I would like to have half. No, I'm even wrong about that. I'll take a third of the amount of hair she had. I was the one, because I was the one that had to take care of us in the mornings and get us ready for school and stuff. So, trying to figure out her hair to tuck when you've got hair that when you put it in a ponytail is like this. Okay, Larry. When you put her hair in a ponytail, it was like this thick. I would have to French braid her hair, because this girls had long hair. Like, her hair was down to her waist. And I would have to braid her hair and then try to curl it and tuck it up inside underneath, right? So when you have kind of thin hair like this, it's easy. You braid it, you tuck it, and it looks very close to the head. Your hat sits on your head, you're fine. Yeah, I had long hair too. I didn't have thick hair, but I had long hair. My hair was very long. And pinned straight back then. But Patricia had hair. And her hair was like mine too, where like the top layer was like pinned straight bits, but like that whole middle section all the way down the bottom was like, the very bottom layer was really curly, the middle layer was like, you know, wavy, whatnot, and then those pinned straight pieces all over the top layer. But yeah, her hair was like, you could not put like, I can wrap a scrunchie 3 times onto my hair. You couldn't even put it once on hers. Like, you would get it, I mean, like, you would have to literally pry her hair through the scrunchie at its max stretch. So it was a chore. You never even thought to use rubber bands in her hair, because if you used a rubber band in her hair, you weren't getting it back out without cutting the rubber band or parts of her hair. She had so much hair. And she was, and still to me is, stunningly beautiful. When I look at Sarah, I see so much of my sister. Sarah has my sister's eyes. She's got those big round eyes, and those, the color. I can't explain to you guys the color of Sarah's eyes. Like, video and stuff does not do it justice. She's got these ocean blue eyes. Like, if you are in an airplane or whatnot and you look down at the ocean and that beautiful, beautiful rich blue color is popping back up at you, that's Sarah's colors of eye. Like, that's how Sarah's eyes are. And Patricia had that same color eyes. And just, she had these full lips, and Sarah's got those full lips. She had the Indian nose. Sarah's got that Indian nose. Like, that's the one thing that is very different on mine and my sister's face and mine and my daughter's face. Like, we look so much alike. Like, you can tell she's my daughter. But there's these differences, like the fuller lips. I have very tiny lips. My sister and I do have, like, I have those same eyes. Like, mine are just not as, like, open as hers were. But Patricia had those really big round eyes. And then I have more of the Wagner nose, whereas Sarah has, and my sister had more of our last name, our surname nose. So our dad's nose, more of the Cherokee Indian nose. So it was a little bit broader, a little bit more kind of pointed upward, and not as like mine sticks out. Like I've got that Wagner nose, but my daughter, thank goodness, and my son kind of got like his their biological side of the family's nose. He's got more of a more petite nose. It's not huge like mine. I have a huge nose. But Sarah got the Indian side of the family nose, and Taylor got more of the donor nose. I'm just going to say that because that's pretty much all he ever was. So, but yeah. So definitely some differences. Like my sister and I, you can see us together and go, oh, they're sisters. You can see this, you can see the resemblance, but there was some definite differences. And then my older sister and I look very much alike, a lot alike. But we do have some very noted differences. Like my sister has a longer face than I do. She definitely has fuller lips. Like I got robbed in the lip department, in all of that. So she's got much fuller lips than I do. She got the smaller nose. Like her nose didn't end up as big as mine did. But she also ended up with, like, her eye shape is very different from mine. So she got, I think I got more of my dad's side of the family on my eyes, like my sister. We got those eyes. Whereas my other sister and I think my brother, and my brother too, they definitely got more of my mom's side of the family on their eyes. But for myself and my sister Patricia, we ended up with our dad's side of our family's eyes. And then, like Patricia, the name, which I gave Sarah as her middle name. So if you've ever wondered, her name is Sarah Patricia. So, yeah, I gave her my sister's name because she was born a little over 2 years after my sister's passing. My sister passed at 17 years old. And so, too young, and not enough. I've never been given like the information as to exactly what the name of her cancer was. I do know it was a brain tumor, a very large one at that, and I was never told like what type or what the name of it was. I do know that it's extremely rare, and as of right now, from the information we've had, that there has been nobody that has survived that form of cancer. So it's extremely aggressive and whatnot, but it doesn't change my outlook on what happened with her last months. Oh yeah, definitely. And when Sarah was little, there's pictures I have of Sarah when she was very little. She looks exactly like my sister. Like, seeing her was like looking directly at my sister. And I know that my mother has stated on several occasions when Sarah was really little that it was hard for her to spend time around Sarah because it just, she says, it hurt her heart. I don't think that that's true. I'll just put that out there. I think it was a reminder to her, and to have that little face looking at her, I think it's like one of those things where it's like kind of a punch in the gut, you know, where you know you screwed up somewhere, and it's like having a ghost, you know, something that haunts you because you did wrong. But yeah, that's what I think. But that's just my opinion on it. You know what I mean? So my daughter is extremely important to me. My son is extremely important to me. And I knew that when I had decided I wanted to be a mom, I knew that it was the best decision I'd ever made in my entire life. and I had my little boy, yeah, and that's the thing is like they tell people, like people tell you, oh, it gets easier. It doesn't get easier. It really doesn't. What it does is you learn to live with it. So it doesn't hurt any less. You just learn to live in the pain. And you learn to manage how you handle it and the way you present it day by day. Yeah, it doesn't ever get better. So, like I said, I had my kids and I had my son, and yeah, I think that was when I first found out I was pregnant with Taylor. We had tried, I think about 3 months to successfully conceive. And when we conceived Taylor, and I found out that the test was positive, I was pregnant with him. That moment for me, anyway, was like that pivotal moment in my life where I knew for me that my life from that moment forward was going to be the most rewarding life ever. Then finding, like, when I didn't know he was a boy until he was born, but when I just, something told me though, like, I don't know if this is just, because I've seen some women that are like, oh yeah, it's definitely, I think it's going to be this. I'm really thinking it's this. Something just keeps telling me it's going to be, this. And they're wrong. For me though, something in me just kept saying, this is a little boy. This is definitely a little boy. His ultrasounds, however, made it funny because the doctor always said, well, this seems to be a habit that little girls go through, but he refused to open his legs during the ultrasound, so we weren't going to find out whether he was a boy or a girl, whether we wanted to or not. Seriously, both of your kids are awesome, but Taylor's my buddy. Yeah, I love that kid. He is me, in a lot of aspects. He's extremely strong-headed. I was talking with somebody that I started watching on a stream last night. It was middle of the night. I couldn't sleep at first because there was some stuff going on, and then I had a good conversation. But I'd met somebody during that time, and I had made a statement about like my recovery when I was coming out of like my surgeries and stuff like that through the military. And he asked, like, well, what was it that you think helped kind of boost you into feeling stronger and whatnot? Yeah, strong-headed. I said, well, here's the thing. I knew for me to get better the quickest was, one, I needed to stay really strict with what I eat. I'm still pretty strict with what I eat. I like cooking, and so I like to have foods that are whole foods. I don't really like too many processed things. I'm not a big fan of buying boxed foods, though I do have them here and there, depending on income and finances. Sometimes you just have to go with certain things that'll make meal prep easier. Sometimes you can't always afford to grab all the whole food that you want. But sticking with a pretty strict diet of eliminating mostly processed foods. I said, so that was one of my biggest things. And then the second one was swallowing my pride and listening to my doctor. If my doctor said, you're only allowed to take 10 steps today, then that's the only 10 steps I took. I didn't take 11. I didn't take 10 and a half. It was 10. That's just an example, by the way. That's not like that's not feasible, by the way. If I was to be at therapy at such time for this many minutes, whatever, I was there. When I was told that you are to avoid lifting anything for this time, I stuck to it. I followed those instructions to a T because this was my mindset. One, I'm super strong-willed and I usually like to push boundaries, right? But in that instance, in that moment, I knew that I needed to get better as fast as I possibly could to take care of my kids. So, in knowing that I am a strong-headed, strong-willed person, I had to humble myself and say, you're not going to be able to do this if you don't listen. So it was not easy, let me tell you. There were times where I was just like, well, I can get this done, I can get this vacuuming finished, I can go ahead and get these boxes over here moved into here, I can unpack these. No. I had to, I mean, like, mentally, I was like, yeah, I can do that. I can get that done. But physically, if I had done any of that stuff physically, I would have wrecked myself. Having a full-on knee surgery, my whole shoulder done, and having had my chest cut open, I knew that I needed to stop and not do anything that the doctors did not give me permission for. And that's a hard thing. Like, that's super hard when you're such a strong-willed person. But I knew that that was the fastest way to do it. And he said, that shows like a strength and humility to be able to do that. And I thought, I never thought of it that way. But like I was saying at the beginning of this, when people tell me how strong I am, or you've come through so much, it's like I didn't have a choice. I guess you always have a choice in things, but I mean, really the choices were you either pushed forward and did it, or you kind of gave up on life. And giving up on life's not really a choice. There's nothing in that. There's no outcome. There's no moving forward. There's no moving backwards. There's just, you give up on life, you're literally standing still. So there's no progression. So you have one choice, and that's push forward. So for me, I've always had that mindset that, yeah, things are going to get crazy, and sometimes crap's going to hit the fan, and sometimes people aren't going to like you, and I'm okay with that. I don't expect everybody to like me, and I honestly don't care if you don't like me. So I have enough people who do like me that I probably would never do a meet and greet because I'd be terrified to get into a room with so many people. So let me also explain, because I was saying about the whole video shoot. We got stuck in that room, and I had to leave the room because I was panicked by being crammed in there. No, you don't have to like me, Larry. You have to love me. There's a difference. When I went to TwitchCon, so I thought the brilliant idea of, I'm broadcasting now. I have several people that want to meet me. I'm also one of the mods for a big community, and I want to be there. I want to be part of the conversation. Strong arming you. Yeah, with what, my little punies? My little punies over here. My strong arming you. Come here. Come here. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so I thought, okay, this is going to be great, right? I mean, I know these people. We talk every single day. This is going to be fantastic. And my first day there was terrifying. There were so many people, and getting in the line to get in after, because I already had my badge and everything, and I had a VIP pass and whatnot, but terrifying. So once I got into the convention hall, because I made myself stay in that line, got into the convention hall, and I hugged the wall. And I stayed along the wall and skirted around the convention just to see everything, get a feel for everything, find all the exits. Anybody that's an agoraphobic knows you're very keen on finding where your safe spaces are. I found 2 zones that were very quieted, muted sound-wise, so that people can take and have an escape moment and get away from all the noise. So those became like a spot where I figured I can sit if I really wanted to have a conversation with somebody. I could go into that space. So that was a blessing in that sense. But I didn't really do too much human interaction. There was people I did want to come meet and see, and then I ended up deciding not to go seeking them at their booths because there was so many people and such big crowds and people bumping into each other and people touching each other. I couldn't. So I didn't get to see quite a few of the people that I did want to meet up with. But then we had our second day where we all got together, those of us in the one community, and we went to lunch. And I felt so out of place. Not that anybody said anything to make me feel that way. That's just me. Like, that's this. I felt so out of place. And the funny part was I wasn't the oldest one there, which I thought for sure I would be. I was not the oldest one there. I was also not the shyest one there, but I was the quietest one there. I didn't really talk. I just listened to the conversation. We sat around, had some good laughs, because the community is amazing and whatnot. But I didn't say anything to any of them until after we left the convention about how uncomfortable I was and how out of place I felt, and was reassured that you were absolutely welcome there, and we really wanted to hear more from you, but nobody wanted to push you because we all respect people's boundaries. And you can see that they could see, like my daughter said to me the other day, that I clearly was out of my comfort zone. And I was thanked by the head of that stream, the streamer herself, the broadcaster, that she was very thankful that I pushed myself beyond my comfort zone just so that I could be there to show my support of her. And that made me feel so much better for the next day. And so day 3, we brought Sarah in, and she got to experience the con and all the fun stuff with gaming. She got to sit back and watch a really amazing PUBG tournament on this massive screen, and we were able to sit back and watch that, and it was awesome. So there's benefits to pushing myself past my absolute terrifying fear, and then there's some cons to it because I missed so many things I could have done there because of my fear of exploring around and getting in and out of places, and fearing that if I strayed too far one direction that I wouldn't be close enough to the exit if I went that way. So I really, really want to be able to do these things. I want to go to these conventions, and I want to be able to do meetups, and I want to be able to be in a room with people and be okay with it. But I'm just not there yet. And as that sounds so stupid, I'm 41 years old, and you would think that I would have somehow pulled myself together at this point. But not quite. All right, Clintus. Pass it through. Clintus is over here eating leftover pizza on screen. Like, excuse me. Share the love. I want pizza. I haven't had pizza in forever. You guys, I'm serious. I have not had pizza in forever. I think the last time we had pizza was in... was in February. We had pizza in February. We have not had pizza since February. What? That's insanity. Because, of course, when the whole thing happened, they weren't delivering and nobody was open. So, you know? Yeah. So, and we were living in the RV. Jeez. Jeez Louise. So, oh my God. I wish I do not have I don't have the money for that right now. As much as I would love to be able to go, I want pizza. We depleted everything in that RV. I'm not even kidding. I was talking to Jay the other day and my aunt. And my aunt's like, what about what's left in your savings? It's nothing. We literally used every ounce of my savings account to put into that RV to keep it worthy enough for us to live in. Also, here's the fun part. I got some news for you guys. So you remember our house, right? The house that the city says they sold. Our house was never sold. Our house is owned by a company called Interagency, which used to be a part of the city, right? It was a city-operated agency at the time. He's doing good, Gabby. He's doing good. Well, the city was, of course, the ones that were managing it at the time through interagency. And then interagency handed over the chunk of the houses that were for the veterans program, the veteran relief program. It was handed over to Catholic Charities to manage the properties. So that's where we were for the last 3 years, was being managed under Catholic Charities, interagency owned property, right? So the first year our contract was with interagency. Our last 3 years it was with Catholic Charities. Well, I guess we weren't told about this. This is information I know now. But what happened in February was we signed our new lease, right? Well, we signed our lease in January, the last week of January, and then got told in February, which was less than 9 days later, oh, the house has been sold. So you've got to move out in 5 weeks. Not just me, 6 of us, 6 veterans, lost our homes. So I asked my new worker, my new VA manager, could you please look into this, because we went by the property several times now, and it's an absolute wreck. Like, the weeds are all the way up to the window sills, and the door is completely covered. The walkway up the front walkway is covered in just weeds growing everywhere. The trash cans are blocking the garage. There's stuff, I don't even know whose stuff, sitting in part of the side yard. So she went ahead and did some research into it and found out that the houses were never sold. What happened is the city cut its connection to interagency. Interagency owns the properties. Interagency is under investigation for fraudulent whatever. I don't even know. It's just fraudulent doings, which forced Catholic Charities to cut ties with them. Because Catholic Charities cut ties with them and the city cut ties, the city sold the properties fully, their share of the property fully to interagency, and cut ties. So that's what happened. So the house didn't get sold as in sold to someone else. What happened is it got sold in full share to the company who already owned it. But they didn't have anybody to now manage said properties because of their wrongdoings. And because I guess there was some crap that they pulled behind the scenes that we weren't aware of. We were just paying our money in like we're supposed to, and that money was being fraudulently used for other said things other than the VA program. So that's the whole mess that happened there. So no, the house is not sold. It is sitting vacant. It's sitting in a state of disrepair now because it's been 5 months and nobody's been there to maintain the property, to keep up the piping and plumbing, and to keep up with the growth of the weeds. Because when you live in the desert, you get weeds. So you have to keep those things at bay, or if you don't, nature takes over. And nature's taken over. That house, it's like the house on the block that you see, and it's like, oh, that's the scary witch's house. That's what it looks like right now. It just looks absolutely terrifying. There's bugs all inside the light, the outside lights. So when you turn on, I was super big about going out there and opening those and suctioning with the vacuum to get all the bugs out of the light canisters, because they would get filled up. So I wouldn't let it get filled. I would see the bugs starting to collect on the bottom. I'd suction them out so you'd have your lights working. They are filled to the point you don't see the light bulbs anymore. Ew. But yeah, so that's what happened with that situation. So needless to say, I'm glad we are here, because this property here, this I get to make this my own, and I get to build up in it. I get to put some walls up, get to make improvements, make it, put value into it. And I think that that's a huge thing. And so there's quite a few things that need to be done in here. Not too many, there's not anything that is major issues. We're getting the toilet put in and fixing the plumbing pipe outside. That'll be done today. The next thing is I would really, really like to get this carpet out. I like the fact of having carpet. Don't get me wrong. But this carpet is really, really old. and it is falling apart. So you've got sections of it that are completely empty because it's old woven carpet, which was really durable stuff. So that's why it was used 30 plus years ago. But it is falling apart. So I can't take a vacuum to it because if you vacuum, you're just going to shred it up more. I can't shampoo it because it'll just shred it up more. So I have to take a broom. Am I still by the hospital? No. Larry, you remember Hannah from school. Of course you remember Hannah. So it's her family's property. So her grandma and grandpa own their property up here on the top of, I can say this, on the top of McCormick. So you know where McCormick is. Yeah. So we are up here in the mountain. Like, you don't just get to the top of McCormick. Like for us, where we're at, you come all the way to the end of McCormick, and then you turn and you follow it all the way up. No, definitely not by the hospital. We are way away from the hospital. For us to even get to the hospital, it takes probably about 30, 35 minutes. So not the Parkway. We're not up on the Parkway. We're on McCormick, which is like when you leave to go towards Kingman. So yeah, we're not near the hospital. We are actually up in the mountain. We can see over to the Parkway from where we are. We can see the Parkway from up here. We can also see the entire lake and the dam and the river running through town. Yeah, we are inside the mountain. Like we're just looking out over the entirety of Bullhead City. We can see all of Laughlin. Like I love it up here. I love it because one, it's also about 10 degrees cooler up here than it is down there. Just to go get Sarah from work every day takes a little over 30 minutes to get down to where she's at and then back. So it's like an hour trip, round trip, every time I take her to work and bring her home. So what I try to do is when she's at work, I try to stay down in town and get a few things done. I go to which I won't be able to do anymore because today's the last trip to the storage unit. Go to the storage unit and pick up the last stuff. I got to get the bookshelves. Today is the bookshelf day. We're going to get those here and start getting our shelving set up. Because we don't have cabinetry yet, but I'm going to get it made. Larry, it's 115 degrees outside, and she's an epileptic. I don't think that would be smart to send her walking, which first of all, if you think about it, it takes a half an hour in a car, and that's when that's when you beat the lights and traffic. So that's half an hour when it's easy going. Anyway, but walking in 115 degree heat, when it takes a 30-minute drive, right? Yeah, I would never put that on anybody. That was miserable. Going to and from school to, like, that's nothing, honestly, to if she had to walk. One, because we're up in the mountains, so she would have to first make her way down to McCormick. And then walking all the way down McCormick. Good God, I think McCormick is the longest road in the entirety of Bullhead City. I think it's even longer than Highway 95. And Highway 95 runs through the entire town. Yeah, McCormick is that's a doozy of a road. But I told her I was going to get her a bicycle. Let me tell you what, I rode my bike everywhere to get to and from work once I moved out of my mother's house. And I can tell you, it builds character, but it also, you feel like invigorated. I mean, I don't know why, but you just feel really good, like you got a really good exercise in. And I pretty much biked, I think, pretty much everywhere. Like, I would bike to go get groceries. I would bike to go to my job, and to and from my job, to and from school. I biked everywhere. Even after my kids were born, like when Taylor was newborn and stuff, I had one of those little buggy things on the back of my bicycle. I didn't get my driver's license or drive a car until after I had Sarah. Because one, I hated being in vehicles. Two, I just was like, I can get around on my bike. I'm good. So, To this day, I still hate driving. I hate it. I hate driving with a passion. I don't like doing it. I don't want to do it, but it's a necessity. And so I do it. But yeah, I mean, if I could get everywhere I wanted on, oh my God, rollerblades were better. Oh my, I love my roller. I was pretty badass on a pair of rollerblades. Come on now, we know that. Yeah, I was pretty skilled on them rollerblades. I think I skated backwards more than I did forward on those things. Like, I loved cruising around, hauling butt, going backwards like I was some kind of figure skater. As if. Yeah. Sarah's been doing really good, like, between the CBD oil and tracking and monitoring her cycle and being very aware of her cycle. Doesn't stop the seizures, but it has reduced them to very mild. She's, I think since February, she's only had one grand mal seizure. And it was, at the time, I think it was right after our air conditioner broke in the RV. And it was like, we had just finished fixing the plumbing, and we had just finished fixing the flooring, and then we had gotten the bed situation figured out, and then the air conditioner broke. And we were like, for real? So that was another thing we had to fix. We got that fixed. And then she had another seizure that same week, because right after that broke, oh, thank you. Right after the AC broke, we had this nasty storm roll through. And that's when we found out that the RV ceiling wasn't sealed correctly, and that there was a hole that you couldn't see from inside. I mean, you couldn't see from the outside. Like, when you went up and looked, everything looked like it was in place, but because he had used a putty, when it rained, it washed the putty away, in turn opening up an entire hole that he had drilled into the RV that was supposed to, apparently he was putting in a pole there that was supposed to hold some kind of wind turbine thing, whatever. Did not know this at the time. Found this out the hard way. Lost a mattress in the process. And it just, I think the stress of the situation, not having internet, not being able to get in touch with friends and stuff, finding out that we all had to kind of stay, the social distancing, self-quarantining, all this stuff. I think it just hit Sarah all at the same time. On top of the fact that she just lost her house, we lost our dog, and just, I think it was just all had compiled, and she had one of the, yeah, that would have actually been super funny to see that, if that actually had happened. But I think for her, it was just too much. So I need to keep checking the time, because I got to go head out to go get her. But yeah, it was a whole lot all at one time. And then, so she's only had a couple mild seizures, not anything that's left me of any concern. Ones that she's handled very, very well, come out of them, recovered pretty quickly from them. And so those are the ones we watch for, because they're pretty likely to happen during that time, during her time of the month. So we're aware of it. Oh, go figure, I'm getting ready to head out, and a hype train coming. Hype train. Sorry, I'm talking to you guys about modding his channel over here. So watching this and learning some more moderation skills. But good Lord, it's already level 2, baby, level 2. Bang! Someone banged startle. Community. Hype. Let's see here. But, alright guys, I gotta get off here, because I gotta drive down this hill. I gotta go get Sarah. So, I better head out. So, our Apple Watch is not playing anything. I know that. I know that too. You can go away. I love when my watch tells me, it's time for you to stand up. Really? You think? Thanks. But anyway, guys, as soon as we get everything kind of finish, because right now we've been wanting to get the bathroom done. We get the bathroom done, we can move the stuff up from the RV that needs to be up here, and then we'll do a tour for you guys. And then I will keep you guys posted of when I'm gonna sit down and actually like tell everything, because I think it's important, because it may help somebody, and somebody else may be going through something similar, or they may just need someone to tell them that they're gonna make it through. So you guys are badass, you're awesome, and we'll see you guys in the next stream.